Hi, how are you? Um, I just thought I'd touch base with everybody and get back to the business of sharing with you how I've been doing in the last 5 weeks since my surgery. And I am fully on solids now. And I wanted to just kind of share some notable things with everyone, but it's just a quick share though. I'm trying to get back into my routine. The weeks have been quite interesting in terms of how I needed to adjust to my eating habits. And I'm talking about, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions to be asked, and I'm going to kind of save those for the next channel to keep you posted on some of the things that I talked about in my last channel, and I know there are some questions that I need to address, and I just want to say thank you all so much for all of your support and input. For those of you who responded to, who has subscribed to my channel and made some comments and has personally called me to find out how I've been doing. Thank you so much for all of your support because it is an interesting one, and I learned a couple things along the way. I've been enjoying the beautiful weather out there. I've been sort of bouncing up and down for the until it was a gradual process of me being able to go outside. So a lot of the times I've been blocked from going out the door because it was too soon, and my family should know because they're looking after me because I may not have been in my right mind to try and see if I could go out before I was ready to do so because I was probably going star crazy. But it is a necessity for me to be able to get strong, which I did. And I know some people could have the surgery and go straight back to work in 2 weeks, but I think it just depends on what type of job that you do. And my job as one of the ward clerks or administrators, for what I do, it does take quite a bit of movement and a lot of activities, getting up from one's chair from the computer to go and answer the telephone for other people, and walking out and carrying files and things like that, having to visit other places. It's that's that physical activity, just staying busy. So you know, it's a matter of having to stay on your feet. And to do that, I needed my body to be physically strong again to be able to cope with the massive changes that have already taken place. So I want to just say quickly, welcome to my new normal of the gastric sleeve surgery, which the Americans call vertical sleeve gastric glass or vertical gastric sleeve surgery. Not sure why they call it vertical, but in the way that the stomach is formed and shaped, I suppose it stands upwards rather than as a ball. So yeah, there was a lot of things that I have learned on this journey as well. The transition from how I was eating my food, mistakes that I've kind of made, but I have decided to make sure to get back on track as quickly as possible. And just to share with everyone that I am feeling fighting fit and healthy and strong, and I'm doing really well. I've dropped off a little bit more weight, not as much as the clinical nurse would have wanted me to, because I suppose she was looking for like 21, 28 pounds, and I can't drop that in 1 month because I think I was going through a mental, let's say, an emotional change in the adjustment that I have to do in order for me to be able to get used to this idea of how I need to eat. Because it is expected of me to be between 2 and 4 ounces of food from every meal that I have. And the moment I do get full, I stop. If I don't stop, or if I try to eat any more food, because I'm more used to trying to finish everything on my plate, I've now found that I need to make my portions smaller and make that settle before everything goes down. And I have to wait half an hour to drink my water, whatever fluids I'm having at the time, and wait and, just make sure that I try to like drink water before and wait 30 minutes to eat and then another 30 minutes, maybe a 15 to 20 minutes as a flexibility for the food to go down as quickly. But it takes time. Your digestive system has to work in a slower fashion than it used to. And it's just a matter of getting used to that style of eating. So there is a lot of questions that I will be answering in terms of, well, if in case I know some people from the United States had questioned what is the NHS, and I will be answering those questions as well. But just for your um, um, significant information, the NHS is governed by the UK as a national health service, as a public service. And it's a system that works where everyone can access it as long as they're entitled to care. And it's strictly run by the government. And it's how we receive our care through all of the healthcare professionals, from nurses, doctors, administrators, physio, everybody, uh, occupational health, pharmacy. I'm trying to think of all the all the people that I normally work with, even down to counselors, psychologists, all of them. They're all part of this health system that runs in the UK governmentally throughout the UK. So whenever I refer to the NHS, I'm talking about the National Health Service. So that'll be something that we'll discuss further in terms of the gastric sleeve surgery that I did take. And to answer another question that did come up, and I know there's a few more. What is the gastric sleeve surgery? It is a weight loss surgery, clinically known as a bariatric surgery. And what that does is it's helping people to, this is one of the invasive ways to lose weight, rather than the normal dieting styles that people would do every day to just cut back on their foods and eat a certain style in a certain way. This is a surgical removal of 75% of my stomach, leaving me with only 25% to work with, which is why my portion size food is a lot smaller. And yeah, it's not generous at all. But I've learned also not to be fooled by the fact that just because I've had this surgery and I could lose this weight, which is what I intend to do, is the fact that I'm not going to fool myself into thinking that that is the only way and that's the best way, because I could actually gain the weight. It is possible to gain the weight. In my case, I've not gained any weight so far because it's been about 5 weeks. But when I went to the consultant's clinic recently, about 2 weeks ago, um, the clinical nurse did say I did lose some weight, which I did have. I started at, for those of us back in the day when we did stones and pounds, it was 17 stone 3 when I started this whole procedure of learning how to change my diet to prepare for the surgery. And after 2 weeks of going on a strict fluid diet before the surgery, it's a pre surgery diet. I managed to lose around 10 pounds. So for those of you who are caught up with the kg, the kilograms, 17 stone 3 is actually 110 pounds. I'm now down to, at surgery, I was down to about 102. I was 102 pounds. I'm sorry, 102 kilograms. For the Americans, I think that's largely around 242 to a loss of about 224 pounds. Um, and for people like me who prefer the stones and the pounds, I suppose we still haven't lost the touch on the old matrix before turning to the matrix system. The stones is about from 17 stone 3 down to 16 stone 2. But I have just recently learned that I've actually lost now. I'm actually, and I have to convert that, so I'll do that for the next channel session. But it's down to 15 stones 13. So I did lose a little bit more, which means basically I am, I got to work it out. I will work it out, and I promise I'll make sure I'll give you the right amount. But that's for the next channel. But I am pleased. I've lost, and I'm not sure how much it shows, because I've not really, I've kind of kept out of everybody's way, and I've actually gradually lost the weight. I've reduced, but it's now the skin and the body toning that I'm having to work with now. I went to see my personal trainer, and I'm going to be working with him for the next 8 weeks, and he's great. I will share the fitness studio that I go to, and I just want to give it some more time to work in those exercise and make sure that it's contoured to fit the design of my body, because everybody is an individual. Everybody works differently. This is not going to be for everyone. People may not necessarily exercise, but just know that the flabber skin is not acceptable for me. Some people don't mind it. They don't have anything to lose by keeping it. But for me, I personally, it's not really an attractive quality, but I can still accept it if it doesn't go. Put it that way. It's just mainly under my arms. You can see that flab. It's still there. But that's just one example. My belly, it's still quite a bit of flab there, and inside my legs, it's quite loose now. My legs. I haven't really. I've got pictures to show eventually, but I'm doing quite well with it, trying to get back on track, and I will be going back to work for just one day in the week so that I can kind of get back on track and try and get my head around what's going on, and get caught up with everything that's happening. So everything's happening in stages. There shouldn't be a rush to be able to do anything that I don't want to do or be ready for. Emotionally, it has hit me to the point where I did panic. I went through a panic stage where I actually literally thought that the weight was dropping off so fast that I thought that I could starve myself. I was starving myself, so I was actually consuming as much as I could handle, because my stomach wouldn't allow me to handle a lot. So I was actually trying to force feed myself because I wasn't feeling hungry. My tummy wasn't telling my brain that it's time to eat now. It's like, I'm just remembering it's time to eat. I got to see what's going on. I got to make sure I have my protein. But just as I'm mentioning things like protein, it's a must. It's a massive must. And that was one of the assessments that the personal trainer was really pleased about, because he said there wasn't a lot of things that I needed to tell him in regards to the type of foods that I needed to eat. Because why? I got to grips with what I needed to eat already. And it wasn't just because the NHS clinical staff who are looking after me, and that comes under with a GP as well. They're not really, they're telling me things that I need to manage to try to eat. They are saying it, but I'm looking a wider field of protein types food, because I've actually cut back on my red meats. I haven't really been eating a lot of red meats. The only thing I'm eating is fish. I haven't really had a desire for red meat, maybe goat meat, I think. But that's a cultural type of food that I would eat that we would call goat meat. I enjoy that, but I haven't had a lot of it. And very scarce on the chicken, but these are where the high proteins are. So I'm replacing a lot of that stuff as well with I'm eating fish with omega-3 in it, so that will cover me with sardines and tunas and mackerel type meals. I think what do you call that other fish? Anyway, it's gone out of my head, but um salmon, that's the word, salmon. That's pretty good as well. Um, but again, I live on like beans, like kidney beans and butter beans and whatever other beans there's, lentils. I make sure I keep up on my iron because this is going to be something I have to take for the rest of my life if I'm not getting it from food. So I have to make sure that I'm actually ingesting iron. So greens enriched with iron. I'm making sure that I'm having, and also things with calcium. Now, calcium. Now, these are prescriptions that the doctor has advised for me to be having every day because calcium is and iron is unfortunately unable to absorb in my body at this time. So hopefully for the next year, for the next 2 years, for the rest of my life, really, multivitamins is what I really need. But I could do with nutritional foods that I get from the Forever Living products that I subscribe to. And one of them I did mention in my last video is the Ultra Light Shake, which contains like 24 grams of protein. That is absolutely essential. Absolutely essential. So that's good. That comes in 3 flavors. My favorite flavor is a vanilla, but it comes in chocolate and it also comes in strawberry. So a nice mix of things that I could be taking, and also the aloe vera drinks. It's quite bitter to taste, but if I have a cup of that 60 meals per day, I it will keep me extremely healthy, good for my nerves, good for my skin, good for my hair, good for my nails, and my digestive system will flow better. And I just want to just know that a lot of these products are so good. Whether you think you're healthy or not, you can still have it. Whether I'm on medication or not, I can still have these foods, ingest them. So I'm encouraging everybody to listen in on my next channel. I gotta go now.